So there's one element of infrastructure that we also forget, because we think of sewers and we think of roads and we think of buildings and we think of but underlying and in the middle of all of this, of course, is the information infrastructure. That is another raison d'etre for cities. I mean, we come together so we can talk, and so that we can communicate. And IBM has been doing an awful lot of thinking about that and its impact on the environment, sustainability, smartness in cities and pairing.
Is that what I was here to talk about?
I don't know.
I thought this was a Linux conference. I'm sorry. So yeah, I mean, probably the question, listening to my esteemed colleagues here, what in the heck is IBM doing sitting in the front of the room? In all honesty, if you look at sustainability, it is a matter of making them smarter. Hopefully you've seen the Smarter Planet, the Smarter City, the Smarter Transportation transportation commercials that have been on television. If you look at what's happening across the world, there is a problem that cannot be solved in the usual way. That's just the concept that everyone has to understand. There is too much traffic to utilize the roads that are built, and the roads that could be built. If we wanted to make everything run beautiful in New York City, we could not build enough roads to do that. So how do you handle these things? If you look at our infrastructure, the water, the sewer, the power, it's failing, and we cannot afford to just go rebuild it and build it big enough for current storms. Our sewer systems have combined sewer overflows that end up in the Hudson River, that end up in lakes, and end up in the beach in Copenhagen. It ends up where you really don't want it. And you can build all the underground tunnels you want, and you will never fix the problem without putting intelligence behind it. And that is what IBM is in this for. A couple interesting facts. I was at a water company that will remain nameless. Their electric bill is $200 million a year for pumping. And you go, wow, they have a lot of customers. That's, they must spend a lot of money pumping it. They estimate that they lose 20% of their water to leakage. So take that $200 million and take 20% of it and flush it down the toilet, because that's what you're doing with it. You're taking that electricity, you're pumping it so it goes right into the ground. What can you do about that? Well, the first thing starts with metering within the system. Smart meters, everybody, they're gonna put smart meters in and my water bill's gonna go up. I know that's why they're doing it. If you start with the meters and start to understand how much water is really being used and how much water is being sent to that location, you can start to understand where the leaks are. And then you can go and you can find those things, you can repair those things. You can also drop water pressure. The more you push into a pipe, the bigger the leak's gonna get. If you optimize those things, you can fix the problem. You can reduce the problem. Combined sewer overflow is a matter of knowing where it's going to rain, when it's going to rain, how the existing system, the main interceptors, the holding ponds, the underground tunnels, how those things can be used to hold that water long enough so the treatment plant can deal with it. When someone talks about a sustainable city, it's great to say, we want to be that green city, man. Trees and flowers, and we're all just in love in our city. But the bottom line is financial. I want industry in my city. I want financial groups and companies in my city. And those companies today can go anywhere they want. They can go to Hoboken, they can go to India, they can go to Iceland. You have to prove as a city that you can sustain them. And this is the second point. Sustainability is about showing them that I can provide you with a way to get your employees to and from work. I can provide you the water you need to do business. I can provide you the power you need to do business, and I can provide the safety that you need to do business. Part of our Smarter Planet, Smarter City program is also about intelligent buildings. If you take your car and you get this tremendous car, and you just get 800 miles per gallon, and it just, right, it's running, and you take it home. The minute you get it home, the mileage starts to creep down because the oil starts to get thick, because the engine starts the bearings start to heat. All of these things start to take that beautiful LEED certified car you have, and I'm twisting the words, and start to drag it back to the '67 Pontiac, right? That's what this is about. The ability to look at, not just look at your, put a beautiful building up, but to know that that building is still optimized. To know that your city is optimized. When we looked at, one of the case studies that I was going to talk about was in Washington, D.C. They came to us and they said, something's wrong, man. We put a ton of money into our infrastructure. We put a ton of money into the assets that we have, our pumps, our trucks, our valves, all these things, and yet it just feels like we're not listening. We're not hearing how these things are changing. So the first thing we did was tear apart all of their data. Start looking at water use. Who's using it? How are they using it? And why are they using it? Then start looking at how they're fixing things. It turned out that some of their fire hydrants were, people would call in that they were leaking, and then they would go out and inspect it and there's no leak. And they go, hey, great, fixed another one, right? Turns out they only leak above 70 degrees. That's picked up in the data, but no one looks at it. You're not going back and looking at that type of data. The crews that repair things were going out to a location to repair a priority 1 work order. Realize they need a bolt and a different wrench. Drive back. Drive out. Drive back. Drive out. Go to the next work order. Drive back. Drive out. All we did was simply put in optimization algorithms to say, here's what team number 1 needs to do. Go here, here, here. This is the way the truck needs to be loaded. This is the work orders you should do, not just the priority 1s, but the priority 4 and the priority 2 that go along with those things. You save gas, the city runs better, you're pumping less, you're leaking less. The last point I'll make is on all of these things, the ability to say, but what if, right? You design a building or you design a city, put a brand new, a brand new bus system in a city, and you got this, it's fantastic. But what if I was to have a storm take out the lower 10 blocks? All my buses tend to, pass through that area. Now they can't. Now suddenly I've got buses crossing each other. I'm jamming up traffic. And by the way, I've got this automated traffic system that I still say Bloomberg was right. But this traffic system that knows what's busy and what's not busy and pushes traffic around it. If you don't have the ability to say, but what if, you really don't have your city under control. The other place that we're kind of a case study I wanted to just talk about briefly was on Cape Cod. Anybody that's been to Cape Cod in the summer knows it's a zoo, right? Population triples in the summer. 85% of the Cape is private sewers. They've got nitrogen problems. They've got traffic problems. They've got infrastructure problems. In fact, at one time, if there was a hurricane headed for the Cape, Massachusetts Power would tell their crews to get off the Cape in case the bridges were taken out so they all wouldn't be stuck out on the Cape. I mean, that kind of ruins the fact that they can't fix anything on the Cape. Cape Cod Commission came to us and said we need help. There is somewhere between a 5 and a 10 billion with a B price tag for us to fix our sewer systems, for us to fix the environment that's out there. Can't afford it, man. You just can't afford to do it. Help. It's about start to bring the data together and figure out where does it make sense to privatize the sewer? Where does it make sense to create a public sewer system? Where can you share treatment facilities? And these are the same issues that are hitting every city around the world. And when we say cities, it can be industrial parks, it can be cities, it can be counties, it can be any group that kind of has common issues. That's really what the Smarter Planet stuff is about. It's about creating optimization. Our smarter buildings, once they're up, once they're running, let's keep them that way. Let's work with the controls people. Let's look at a series of 10 buildings. Let's make sure that all of a sudden, building number 1, for some reason, is using twice the water it used to. Let's figure that out before it starts using twice the water it used to. As we see those trends take place, let's react to those things so that that beautiful LEED certified building stays that way.
You know, there was a data point that a Booz & Company study came up with that I thought was interesting about IT. It suggested that the IT industry, broadly conceived, is responsible for, I think, 4% of greenhouse gas emissions, but can affect 25%, whether it's across industrial actuators or anything like this. So actually, it's a very interesting realization that there's an awful lot of power there.